Good evening. You're joining the midweek edition of the State of Business with me, Nishani Pigera. Let's first take a look at tonight's headlines. Intech South Asia 2017 exhibition begins in Colombo. And Sri Lanka's 4th National Symposium to develop a national export strategy held today. In tonight's main story, the 3rd edition of Intech South Asia 2017, the largest and only international textile sourcing show in the region, began in Colombo today. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was the chief guest during the occasion.
The 3-day event is organised in association with the Export Development Board of Sri Lanka and is endorsed by the Joint Apparel Association Forum. The show is also supported by leading industry trade bodies across Asia and the Middle East. This year, the event will showcase 200 exhibitors from 15 countries, including Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, Korea, USA, Thailand, Singapore, and many others. The show will also host multiple seminars with industry experts, providing pertinent analysis for better understanding of global developments and the impact on South Asian industry. Furthermore, the Intech South Asia 2017 show for the first time will present Fashion Fiesta, an exclusive networking reception where top 600 industry buyers from South Asia and other regions will interact with international exhibitors. Speaking at the event, Minister of Industry and Commerce Rishad Bathiuddin stated that apparel exports in Sri Lanka has increased by 11.3% from January to September this year in comparison to last year.
Our world-class apparel sector is a key export revenue earner for us, and equally important is that it is a major employment provider in our economy, especially for the women in our labor force. Our government's special efforts to improve our international relations were successful and resulted in Sri Lanka receiving GSP Plus, therefore greatly strengthening our exports, especially apparel exports. Our apparel export to EU has increased by only 2% from January to September 2016 in comparison to the same period in 2015. As a result of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's effort, after receiving GSP Plus, our apparel export from January to September this year compared to same period of last year has increased by a huge 11.3% to 1.67 billion US dollar from last year's 1.5 billion US dollars. I'm pleased to say that the overall apparel export to all countries from January to September this year increased by 13.4% to $3.97 billion in comparison to the same period last year at 3.5 billion US dollar. We believe this apparel growth trend would continue and therefore will have even better performance next year.
Meanwhile, speaking at the event, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that the apparel industry has made a major contribution to the national economy in terms of direct and indirect employment generation and net foreign exchange earnings. Speaking further, the Prime Minister highlighted measures taken by the government in order to boost the apparel sector within the country. Prime Minister Wickremesinghe also emphasized the need for further liberalization of international trade.
Sri Lanka's apparel industry is an important one for our economy. It's also important for the integration of Sri Lanka with the global trading system, and it's important for integrating the rest of South Asia also. Trade integration is the lowest. Our region is one of the lowest as far as trade integration is concerned, the South Asia and with the world. Therefore, we have also to look at how we are to integrate with the global trading system. This is why I'm happy that you have used Sri Lanka as a hub, because this is our intention. We have brought in a new exchange control, the new Foreign Exchange Act, replacing the Exchange Control Act. The Minister is presenting the anti-dumping bill as a counterweight to the liberalizing trade further. We are gradually removing the para-tariffs. Ministry of Development Strategy and International Trade is working on the ease of doing business, which will come into being by early part of next year. We've already started. I think the 8 task force have finished their work and we'll be reviewing it in December so that we could start off. There are many other legislations that we plan to remove further barriers to integration with the international community. We have also at the regain the GSP plus. And for the apparel trade, it's a boost. It's a boost for us. You have to utilize it fully. The main beneficiaries, the export beneficiaries are apparel, the rubber industry and fishing, and they have to utilize this to increase exports till we get the other industries coming into Sri Lanka. Addition to the GSP plus, we are also negotiating a free trade agreement with Singapore, which will hopefully be signed in January, deepening the trade relations with India with the economic and technological cooperation agreement. We are also at the same time negotiating a free trade agreement with China. There are three significant memorandums of understanding with three Asian governments, two of whom we are signing the agreements, that is with India and China, and the third is Japan. So this shows the way forward, how we are liberalizing and how we are integrating ourselves with Asia. That is important. So Sri Lanka, once we sign our three main free trade agreements, looking at if there's progress being made on the regional comprehensive economic partnership agreement, apply to come into the regional economic partnership agreement, so that then we'll also be a part of it. That's the first agreement. We'd also like to have relationship with the TPP, because that's a higher hurdle. It's going to take us more time, but nevertheless to show our indications, because we want to bring that agreement into the Indian Ocean.
The fourth and final consultation on finalization, consolidation and validation of the National Export Strategy for Sri Lanka was held in Colombo today. The meeting was conducted by the Ministry of Development Strategies and International Trade together with the Export Development Board in consultation with the private and public stakeholders. The technical assistance to develop the National Export Strategy was provided by the International Trade Centre in Geneva through funding by the European Union. State Minister of International Trade Sujiva Senasinghe was a chief guest during the meeting.
The National Export Strategy has been developed by private and public stakeholders through extensive consultations, which commenced from the first National Symposium held in April 2017 under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. During these consultations, a strategic vision for Sri Lanka's export growth was developed. 6 priority sectors and 4 trade support functions were identified by the private and public stakeholders at the consultation. This consultative process leads public sector institutions and private sector enterprises to design a common and agreed plan for growing and diversifying Sri Lanka's export products and reaching new target destinations. Moreover, based on the NES vision and strategic objectives, a list of high-priority export development interventions were identified for integration in the November 2018 national budget. This is a part of the Sri Lankan government's drive to achieve a target of $20 billion in export revenue by 2020.
Inclusiveness was our main theme. We wanted the private sector to get involved in this, and they did their job. After I think about 9 or 10 months, we've come to a finality, and in the process of actually giving you the final product. And on this, we have taken into consideration the location of our country. As you know, it's very important that Hambantota Port, Trincomalee Port and Colombo Port, and especially the initiative by Xi Jinping, the President of China, choosing Sri Lanka as one of the main investing countries by China. China is planning to invest about $7 to $8 million in Sri Lanka. And whilst improving Hambantota Port, China wants to invest in industrial zones in Sri Lanka as well. And as you know, we have been lagging behind, even though manufacturing is our future. For about 20 years, we hardly manufactured any new products in Sri Lanka. Advantage that we have, being a small country, we can pick up and run. It's easier than other countries around us. So we have a good platform on good governance, and we have been recognized by the ITC and places like Harvard also, World Bank and other international organizations, and that's a huge advantage for us. Harvard has funded us with about 2,000 lakhs. ITC has also funded us with about 2,000 lakhs, and we have duty-free access to US, we have duty-free access to Europe, and then to India, and in the future China as well. And these are huge advantages that the country has actually achieved. We are blessed actually in this region, even though population was a burden in the past, now it's a huge advantage with the New World Order. So we have a concentration of about 4.5 billion just around Sri Lanka. So we are opening those markets to Sri Lanka. We probably will have duty-free access to about 5,000 items to that market. So with all this advantage, we need a direction. So that is what we achieved through the NES.
Time for us to slip in for a short break. There's more news on the other side. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Here with the State of Business. A consultation workshop on Sri Lanka Preparedness Partnership with private sector organizations was held in Colombo today. The main objective of this workshop is to improve the preparedness and emergency response to disasters in Sri Lanka.
The workshop was jointly organized by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce and Sri Lanka Preparedness Partnership, an initiative of the Asian Disaster Preparedness Centre of Bangkok. The Asian Disaster Preparedness Centre, headquartered in Bangkok, which is supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has established the Asian Preparedness Partnership for improving the preparedness and emergency response to disasters across Asia. 6 countries, namely Cambodia, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, Philippines and Sri Lanka have been selected as initial partner countries for APP.
Whenever disaster happen in Sri Lanka, there are so many players involved in. I mean, all of them are doing a very good job, but there is no proper coordination. Media institutes go to town and they have various programs, and then the NGOs have their own programs. Some leading private sector have their own programs, and then the governments and politicians have their own programs. And a lot of people are benefiting out of that. But at the same time, in this process, large number of people in rural areas, mostly say north and east, because there are no strong politicians, there are no strong politicians connected to the government or leading parties. So they get alienated. They don't get the required support. So there are the gaps and serious shortcomings like that. So those are the things we are going to address through this partnership. And as I mentioned earlier, it is not again asking the private sector to contribute, private sector to dole out money, but it is also to work together with the private sector. At the same time, how we can strengthen the the smaller businesses, your own suppliers, your own supply chain actors. So that is the main focus of this workshop. And initially, through our own discussion, we have decided to initially have this even local level, district level partnerships in 5 districts. Mostly disaster regular districts affected by regular disasters like Ratnapura, Kalutara, Putlam, Batikalo and Anuradhapura.
The ESBE Awards 2017, organised by the Information and Technology Agency of Sri Lanka, was launched in Colombo last evening for the 7th consecutive year.
The ESBE is an initiative aimed at recognizing excellence in digital application creation. It is expected that this national award would stimulate a greater interest in the development of a wide range of content and services that would serve the needs of society. ICTA expects to celebrate the local talents of digital innovation, prioritizing on inspiring creativity and empowering entrepreneurship during the 7th consecutive iteration of ESBE 2017.
This year we are very much focusing on the applications which will impact the society and their livelihoods, and also we are creating a lot of platforms across the country such as public Wi-Fi, that is to provide free Wi-Fi, and there are programs happening to take this create awareness on all these digital platforms to the society, such as smart social circles. There are about this year we have started targeting 800 villages across the country to create kind of a knowledge society or kind of a group of people, educating them on how to use digital devices, digital applications, which is already there to better their lives. So far, there are 800 such programs happening, and we are targeting 14,000 such programs to be implemented across the country. And also for these innovators, these creators who are developing digital applications should be further recognized. So, and also further move to next level. So we have some other programs such as Disrupt Asia, which also enables them to work with international developers and network with them and find markets in not only in Sri Lanka, globally.
Stocks ended in the red today. Let's find out why after this break. Welcome back to the show. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all share price index dropped 29.07 points to close at 6,428.83, and the S&P SL 20 index dropped 32.33 points to close the session at 3,737.86. Turnover was 928.6 million rupees and 15.2 million shares were traded. And now let's take a look at the day's forex rates. And with that, we wind up for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for joining us. Good night.